ago, the great explorer Henry Stanley decided to explore the deepest, darkest parts of the continent of Africa. And so he lands on the coast. And the first thing he hears, along with his crew, are this kind of a rumbling, pulsing type sound. And so he decided to head towards that sound. So they travel day after day, and as they get closer and closer, the sound gets louder. Boom, 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 boom. And they keep heading towards that sound. And after several more days, it's even louder. Boom, 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 boom. And as they get closer and closer, it gets even louder. Boom, 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 boom. And it gets almost deafening, but they decide they have to go farther, even though it's starting to hurt their ears and drive them crazy. And so soon enough, after about a month, they come to this clearing, and it's this huge village. And the villagers there, fortunately, are friendly, and the chief comes out to meet Henry Stanley. But they can barely talk because in the right all around them is dum 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 dum, and you can see the villagers playing the drums constantly, and so they're shouting at each other. And Henry Stanley says to the chief, "Can you make the drums stop so we can talk without yelling?" And the chief goes, "No, no, drums must never stop. Drums must never stop." And Stanley doesn't ask him why, he just accepts it because he doesn't want to upset the chief. So despite the noise, they stay there that night. And in their tents all night, the tents are almost like vibrating while they're trying to sleep. Boom, 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 boom. And so they don't get any sleep all night. But they don't want to offend the villagers, so they go out, they explore various areas, and then they come back that night, and there's still this boom, 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 boom. So Stanley says to the chief, just this one night, could the drum stop so we can sleep more before we explore tomorrow? And the chief goes, "No! Drums must never stop. Drums must never stop." So Stanley accepts that. And so they spend another night in their tents listening to nothing but drum, boom, 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 drum, boom, boom, boom. And so the next morning, Stanley talks to the chief, and he's got bags under his side. His whole crew is just worn out. And he said, "Please, while we're exploring today, we would like to have a little bit of silence. Could the drums stop playing?" And the chief goes, "No, drums must never stop. Drums must never stop." So Henry Stanley and his crew, they go out exploring all day. And they're listening, no matter how far they go, they still hear boom, 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 boom. And when they get back that night, more boom, 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 boom. And Stanley decides to ask the chief one more time, "Tonight is our last night here. We would really like to be able to sleep. Could you please stop the drums?" And the chief goes, "No, drums must never stop. Drums must never stop." And so finally, Stanley's had enough, and he says, "Why can't the drums stop?" And the chief goes, "Drums must never stop. When drums stop, saxophone come in."